Well, I mean, the real truth is those people are idiots.
It's at us. Never, you know.
Like, I can't do this.
They thought the Marvel machine was bulletproof, until one whispered warning cracked the armor. It began with a single red flag email, 2 sentences long, flagged urgent, and addressed to Kevin Feige at 2 a.m. No attachments, no signature, just the line, "He's not who you think he is. If you crown him, we walk." Feige's assistants tried to trace the sender. It bounced between 3 VPNs and vanished. By dawn the message had reached every C-suite in Burbank, and the word spreading in marble corridors was radioactive predator. 24 hours later, Pedro Pascal was in Atlanta for an early costume scan, skin-tight MCU tech suit, dots on his face, polite nods for a dozen VFX artists who'd spent all night calibrating lenses. Mid-scan an executive stepped in, whispering that technical revisions required a halt. The scanners powered down. Pascal asked if lighting was off. No one answered. Down the hall a security guard slid a flash drive into a studio laptop, eyes widening at what he saw. Clipped Zoom footage.
Daddy Pascal.
Daddy Pascal. Papi Pascal.
What do you make of the word of the whole vibe of the daddy?
Time-stamped Pascal on screen sighing. These legacy cosplayers slow everything down. I'm the brand now, not them. The guard wasn't cleared for dailies, but this wasn't dailies. It was proof, an ego too big to hide. That same afternoon Chris Hemsworth landed from Sydney, straight into a private briefing. There, Marvel brass pitched the Phase 6 roadmap, Pascal's Reed Richards at the strategic center, the new moral compass of the Avengers. Hemsworth listened, jaw set, then asked one question. Did Downey hear this? Silence. He closed the folder, pushed it back across the table, and walked out without another word. Hemsworth's team leaked nothing, but a grip saw the Thunder God punch an elevator wall hard enough to dent the steel. By week's end, whispers morphed into open defiance. Anthony Mackie excused himself from a stunt rehearsal after Pascal called him caplight, within earshot of extras. Brie Larson postponed a fitting, citing ensemble clarity. Scarlett Johansson, unreachable for months, surfaced only long enough to text a producer.
I'm really happy that no one else will have to deal with what I have to do.
Told you so. And then came Downey. Iron Man himself dialed Feige from a soundstage in Ireland, where he was filming a small indie. According to 2 crew members, Downey's side of the call was short. Kev, this is a bad hire. I've done rehab. You can't rehab arrogance.
Something that happens within the comics, but it is something that happens in the comics. It isn't necessarily something that my character's future entails.
Feige still believed he could stem the bleeding. He scheduled a secret table read on the Disney lot. No phones, no assistants, just principal cast and creative heads. Pascal arrived last, latte in hand, leather jacket, easy grin. Lines were passed around. 10 minutes in, Pascal interrupted Mackie's monologue with a laugh, and the line, "Cute speech, but the audience wants solutions." Mackie froze. Nobody spoke. Sebastian Stan slid his script forward and said quietly, "I'm done." Evans rubbed his temples. Hemsworth snapped his binder shut. A production assistant, handshaking, collected scripts no one bothered to sign out, while Pascal scrolled his phone, oblivious to the silence. Marvel security labeled the incident, Event Echo, code for reputational hazard. HR drafted NDAs, but secrets don't stay buried on a lot powered by caffeine and gossip. Within 48 hours, a storyboard artist posted cryptic emojis, hammer, shield, spider, followed by a trash can. Fans thought it was trailer hype. Insiders knew it was farewell. Then the audio clip leaked. 22 seconds, muffled but lethal. A background party clamor. Pedro's unmistakable voice slurring. Daddy doesn't audition. Daddy replaces. A female voice answered. They were Avengers before you. Pedro laughed. Were. Someone clicked stop. The file ripped through group chats like shrapnel. VFX houses panicked. Brand managers called emergency huddles. Overnight Not My Mr. Fantastic trended above MCU spoilers worldwide. Disney's legal team drafted a contingency they'd prayed never to use. Persona containment protocol. Language reserved for stars on the brink of scandal. Bullet 1. Limit live interviews. Bullet 2. Redirect narrative to ensemble focus. Bullet 3. Prepare alternative story paths excluding subject. Translation. Erase him without admitting why. But Phase 6 was already mapped. Budgets locked. Sets half built. Pulling Pascal meant tearing out the spine of 2 scripts and 100 licensing deals. Feige placed a desperate call to Downey. If we pivot, will you steer the ship? Downey sighed, said, I'll talk to the old guard, and hung up. Next morning Variety's stock photo servers overheated as anonymous tips claimed Marvel wanted legacy synergy. The trade press guessed cameos. Insiders whispered coup. Pascal, sensing cold fronts, fired off a cheerful Insta story smiling selfie in Fantastic Four cap, caption stretching into greatness mourn. Disney PR begged him to delete. He doubled down with a daddy meme. Someone at Lucasfilm groaned remembering how this played out during Star Wars press junkets. Someone at HBO sent a quick good luck text. Late Friday after the markets closed, an internal Marvel memo hit inboxes. Production hiatus on Fantastic Four to enhance story alignments. Crew were told to stand by. Stage carpenters shrugged. They'd lived through shutdowns. But cast text chains lit up. Evans, time to clear calendars. Johansson, phase none. Hemsworth sent a single lightning emoji followed by a broken chain. Meanwhile, Pascal's team scheduled a brand resilience summit at CAA. PowerPoint slides promised ongoing synergy with premium franchises. Mid-pitch, an agent burst in, whispering that Disney had quietly scrubbed press kits. Reed Richards' images replaced by a placeholder silhouette labeled TBA. Pascal stared at the blank outline where his face should be, and for the first time that week, the smile faded. That's when the Avengers decided on their next move, and it wasn't a negotiation. It was an ultimatum, one that would force Disney to choose between the internet's favorite daddy and the heroes who built the house. The ultimatum landed like a Stark Tech missile, a joint letter, signed in thick blue ink by 6 names Disney never expected to see on the same page again. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Mark Ruffalo, and Anthony Mackie. 8 sentences, no threats, just fact. If Pedro Pascal remained architect of Phase 6, they were out. No reshoots, no cameos, no press, no red carpet goodwill. The final line read, "We don't abandon the brand, we protect it. Choose wisely." The envelope was hand-delivered to Feige's office by Downey's longtime assistant, who waited in the hallway until Feige finished reading, then asked softly, "Do we stay or go?" Feige's answer never left the room, but within an hour every Burbank parking lot exit had paparazzi staking out black SUVs. Disney's board convened an emergency virtual session, 12 suits framed in 4K, the mouse logo glowing behind each. Numbers flew. $2.3 billion in projected Phase 6 merch, $600 million sunk cost if the core cast walked, incalculable PR fallout. A veteran finance exec cleared his throat and said the quiet part, "We can't print new legends overnight." Silence. Then the chairman asked the only question that mattered. Can we fire Reed without a lawsuit? Legal said yes. Morals clause. Breach of ensemble harmony. Reputational risk. The vote was 8-4. Pascal was finished. But damage control needed a face, and Disney knew only one person could steady the ship in public. Downey. At 3 a.m. London time, Feige called. Voice hoarse, "Bob wants you in LA by Monday." Downey replied, "Send the jet. Bring a clean slate." By dawn, Hollywood Reporter ran an exclusive, Marvel eyes Stark Resurrection legacy cast to reunite. Fans went feral, hashtags exploded, stock ticked up before markets even opened. To most, it looked like Marvel magic. Inside the machine, it was triage, the next step, extraction. Pascal's contract allowed a graceful exit, creative divergence clause, massive payout, strict NDA. Disney drafted the paperwork, but Pascal wasn't answering calls. He'd flown to New York, holed up in a Soho hotel, phones off, agent in crisis mode. Rumor has it he called an old HBO contact, asked if The Last of Us Season 2 could bump his screen time. The answer, maybe. Pending schedules. Translation, no guarantees. Meanwhile, Marvel Security conducted the clean sweep. Digital asset teams purged Pascal's likeness from previs renders. Merch prototypes, action figures, Funko molds, lunchbox art were boxed, stamped hold, and wheeled into warehouse row 17, the same row where Edward Norton's Hulk materials gathered dust. Licensing partners got coded emails, character redesign underway, standby for revised style guides. Nobody in the consumer products wing asked questions. They'd buried enough suddenly obsolete inventory to know when to stay silent. Back in LA, Downey arrived at the studio lot wearing an Iron Man red blazer, flanked by Feige and a new script team. Their job, stitch a narrative artery back together in 6 weeks. The plan was daring. Fold the multiverse collapse early. Use it as a story earthquake that erases Pascal's Reed Richards before fans notice he was missing. A cameo by an unannounced legacy hero would patch the timeline. RDJ smiled. Who says retcons can't be art? But one hurdle remained. The Pascal footage already shot. Weeks of test scenes, suit calibrations, dialogue plates, too expensive to scrap entirely. Enter Weta Digital, contracted to deepfake a multiverse distortion over every frame. Insiders nicknamed the tech Thanos snap in reverse. When rumors of the deletion leaked to industry blogs, spin doctors framed it as innovative storytelling. Yet inside edit bays, VFX leads traded gallows humor. We're deleting daddy, pixel by pixel. On social media, the narrative shifted overnight. Influencers who once thirst tweeted Pedro is life suddenly posted think pieces about overexposure. A viral TikTok stitched Pascal's off-color zoom insult with crying VFX artists and finished with Downey saying, "Part of the journey is the end." 10 million views in a day. Momentum swung. Pascal's fandom fractured, half defending their king, half admitting the shine felt staged. Then Vanity Fair dropped the bomb. An investigative feature titled "When a Franchise Eats Its Young" detailed complaints from junior crew about Pascal's set behavior. Nothing criminal, but enough to paint a portrait of a star-playing diva while veterans hauled the weight. The article quoted an anonymous Avenger. "We don't hate him, we just don't trust him." Public sympathy pivoted. Hashtags flipped from Justice for Pedro to Avengers Protect Avengers. Pascal's team drafted a statement. Apology, misunderstanding, commitment to growth. Disney's lawyers reviewed and rejected it. Admitting fault implied clause breach, erasing his severance. Instead, at 6 p.m. Pacific, a bland joint press note hit wires. Pedro Pascal and Marvel Studios have mutually agreed to pursue separate creative paths. No thanks, no future collaboration hinted, no mention of Fantastic Four. The internet understood, he'd been ghosted by the House of Mouse. That night Pascal stepped out of his hotel into paparazzi flash. Someone shouted, "Daddy, what happened?" He forced a grin, said, "On to the next galaxy," climbed into a black SUV, and disappeared uptown. An hour later, his Twitter bio quietly lost the emoji fans had taken as Mr. Fantastic confirmation. Inside Marvel's war room, Downey raised a glass of green juice with the Core 6. Evans smiled for the first time in weeks. Johansson smirked. "So, assemble." Hemsworth clinked mugs. "Let's ride the lightning." Feige exhaled, weary, relieved, but aware they'd skated across a razor. One miscast, one ego, almost toppled the universe. And far away, in a Soho hotel suite, a phone buzzed. "HBO scheduling. The role's still yours," it read, "but press will be brutal." Pascal stared at the screen, silent, finally realizing that being everyone's daddy means nothing when the family shuts the door. The Avengers reclaimed their throne, but the cost was clear. Phase 6 would launch with thunderous nostalgia, yet every frame would carry a silent inscription: never let one man's brand eclipse the team. Because once the mask slips, the whole world sees what's underneath, and no amount of franchise glue can hold a shattered myth together. 6 weeks later, Stage 12 on the Disney lot hummed like a restart button. The set builders called it the Phoenix Shift. Overnight, the Baxter Building facades vanished, replaced by a cavernous Stark Tech command center ringing with holographic readouts. In the middle stood a practical arc reactor podium waiting for its owner. This wasn't marketing, this was erasure made physical. Crew joked that if you listened closely you could still hear Pascal's test line echoes in the drywall, but nobody laughed hard, it felt like tempting ghosts. Day 1 of reshoots, Downey walked on set in a hybrid suit. Mark 51 chest plate over a charcoal blazer, multiverse scorch marks etched into the pauldrons. He surveyed the room, then cracked. "Alright kids, let's fix the timeline." Cameras rolled on a new scene co-written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, flown back in under NDAs thicker than the Sokovia Accords. Their directive: give fans a Stark who's wiser, not de-aged, a mentor, not a resurrection cheap trick. When Downey delivered his first line, "I'm not supposed to be here," means the universe is begging for maintenance. Even seasoned grips felt the gooseflesh. Marvel had its spine again. Across town, Anthony Mackie rehearsed a monologue in a motion capture rig, shield magnet clicking with each gesture. This rewrite crowned Sam Wilson the field leader, the face in the trenches while Stark monitored cosmic calculus. It was a symbolic baton pass the elders endorsed. Evans visited privately, telling Mackie, "Cap's yours now, don't let the noise steal your focus." That blessing leaked through gossip channels and instantly relit fan faith extinguished during the Pascal debacle, but repairing trust outside the studio was a tougher script. Disney's marketing branch launched Operation Dawnfire, a rapid-fire schedule of behind-the-scenes featurettes, each highlighting unsung crew, stunt doubles, set medics, render wranglers, subtly reframing the narrative from star worship to team celebration. Every clip ended with Downey voiceover, "No hero flies solo." The subtext landed. Marvel was inoculating itself against another single-actor meltdown. Entertainment media smelling redemption flipped coverage. Variety's headline, "Marvel's Old Guard returns, Pascal fallout spurs creative renaissance." Deadline called the rewrite the boldest crisis pivot since Rogue One. Skeptics still lurked, but box office tracking for Secret Wars shot up 18% after the first teaser. Stark silhouette only, no dialogue dropped during Monday Night Football. Twitter erupted like 2014 again. Memes turned from "daddy's cancelled" to "dad's home." Meanwhile, Pedro Pascal faced the quiet side of cancellation, options evaporating not by decree but by delay. Warner's Wonder Woman threequel replaced his character with a CGI amalgam citing schedule conflicts. A streaming rom-com deal dissolved in creative differences. Even The Last of Us producers reduced his contracted episodes, citing a narrative shift toward Ellie. Agents whispered he'd become expensive risk. Pascal retreated to Chile, spotted in paparazzi shots visiting family. Gray hoodie up, phone dark. A Page 6 item claimed he'd entered intensive image recollaboration counseling, the celebrity version of Exile. Then came the shareholders meeting. Bob Iger took the stage, flanked not by execs but by RDJ and Mackie in crisp suits. Iger spoke numbers, content cadence, D+ subscriber clawback, but the crowd wanted narrative balm. Downey delivered. "Our universe just proved it can self-correct. That's the superpower." Applause thundered. Disney stock bumped 3% by closing bell. Yet inside a windowless edit suite, the real insurance policy rendered frame by frame. Wheate's deep clean algorithm masked every remnant of Pascal's read. Reflections, glove edges, even shadows. Supervisors called the file branch Erase 42, a nod that only VFX nerds would catch. Insurance adjusters tallied the cost, $74 million to pretend a man never set foot on set. Cheaper than a permanent brand stain, the board agreed. When Secret Wars finally premiered in Shanghai, Marvel's first major launch after Pascalgate, the red carpet felt eerily vintage. Johansson stunned in Widow Black, Ruffalo cracked Marxist jokes, Hemsworth flipped a prop Mjolnir. Absent any trace of the man once groomed to headline. Review embargo lifted at midnight. Rotten Tomatoes 92%, critics praising unexpected humility. The mid-credits stinger? A ruined Baxter building flickers into view. A distorted silhouette steps through, but never reveals a face. A wink to fans. The multiverse remembers, but it also warns. As house lights rose, Downey embraced Feige, whispered, "Keep the circle small." Feige nodded. The lesson burned hot enough. Weeks later, Disney quietly transferred crates from warehouse row 17 to a private incinerator. Plastic fumes curled into a Los Angeles dawn. Final evidence of a discarded narrative. An assistant asked if they should save a figure for archives. The foreman shrugged, tossed the last Mr. Fantastic into the flames, and muttered, "History's lighter without dead weight." Across the ocean, Pedro Pascal scrolled his phone on a balcony overlooking Santiago. Trending tabs showed Secret Wars Unite. No mention of his name. The algorithm he once rode had forgotten him. He exhaled, closed Twitter, and finally dialed his agent. "Find me a play," he said. "Something small, somewhere no one calls me anything but Pedro." The line clicked. A new chapter queued, but the era of Daddy was officially snapped from existence. Marvel's universe roared forward, scar tissue hidden beneath CGI polish, yet lesson etched into every hard drive: never bet the cosmos on a single star. Because when that star implodes, the blast can scorch every world you've built, unless you erase the light before the shadow spreads.